Why the Buddha never told you to move on. The lie. A mother carried her dead child through the streets of an ancient city. She knocked on every door, begging for medicine. People turned her away. The child was already gone, but she wouldn't stop. She carried him to the Buddha, and the Buddha didn't say, "Let go." He didn't say, "Accept it." He didn't say, "Everything happens for a reason." He said something no one expected. We'll come back to what he said. But first, the lie. Move on. 2 words the world hands you when it doesn't know what else to say. And those 2 words do something cruel. They tell your mind to suppress what it's feeling. And decades of research in psychology have shown that suppressing a thought doesn't make it go away. It makes it louder. Telling a grieving person to move on is like telling them not to think about the person they lost. It guarantees they will think of nothing else. You've heard the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Neat, linear, like a checklist. But Elizabeth Kubler-Ross developed those stages for people who were dying, not for people left behind. Even she said, near the end of her life, that they were never meant to tuck messy emotions into neat packages. And the largest clinical study on grief found that the most common emotion at every time point wasn't denial. It was yearning, which wasn't even in the original 5 stages. Then there's the spiritual version. They're in a better place. Attachment is the root of suffering, so just let go. There is no self, so who is there to grieve? A psychologist named John Wellwood had a term for this: spiritual bypassing. Using spiritual ideas to sidestep pain you haven't actually faced yet. If something about all of this has felt wrong to you, if the advice never quite landed, you were right. It was wrong. The mustard seed. Her name was Kisā Gotamī. Her son, her only child, died young. The commentary describes her state plainly. Sorrow to the point of madness. She refused to believe he was dead. She carried his body from house to house asking for medicine, and people thought she had lost her mind. Someone directed her to the Buddha, and when she begged him to heal her child, he didn't correct her. He didn't explain impermanence. He didn't give a Dhamma talk. He said, "Bring me a mustard seed from any house where no one has ever died." Thick 10.1 commentary. A mustard seed, the smallest, most common thing. Every house had one. So she went. The first house, she asked for a mustard seed. Easy, they said. Then she asked, "Has anyone in this family ever died?" The answer came slowly. "Who's able to count how many have died here?" She put the seed down. "Then keep it. What use is that mustard seed to me?" She went to a second house, a third, a 10th. Every door, the same answer. Every family, its own grief. And somewhere between those doors, the text says it simply, her madness left her, and her right mind was established, not because someone explained death to her, because she walked through it, door after door, story after story, until the understanding wasn't something she was told. It was something she knew. It's not just a truth for one village or town, nor is it a truth for a single family. but for every world. This indeed is what is true. Impermanence. Notice what the Buddha did. He didn't lecture a grieving mother. He gave her something to do, an action, a task that moved her body through the world while her mind got up. Modern grief research has a name for this: instrumental grieving, processing loss through action, through doing, through moving. It's how many people grieve, especially men. And for centuries, it was mislabeled as denial, because it didn't look like the grief people expected to see. The Buddha didn't mislabel it. He designed a practice around it, 2,500 years before the research existed. The two arrows. There's a teaching that shows up in the earliest texts. You may recognize it if you've spent any time with the Buddha's first discourse, the one so often misquoted as, "Life is suffering." Here, beside a grave, that teaching finally makes complete sense. The Buddha described two arrows, S, N 36.6. The first arrow is the pain itself, the loss, the empty chair, the phone you almost pick up before you remember. That arrow lands and it hurts, and the Buddha never, not once, said you shouldn't feel it. The second arrow is the one you shoot into yourself. I should be over this by now. What's wrong with me? Be strong. Move on. The second arrow is the story about the pain, and it is the one that keeps the wound from healing. A trained person, the Buddha said, feels one arrow, not 0, 1. The goal was never to feel nothing. It was to stop adding to your own suffering. And here's what makes this land harder. The grief research that overturned decades of psychology found that maintaining your bond with someone you've lost isn't pathology. It's healthy. It's normal. For most of the 20th century, therapists told grieving people to sever the connection, to deconnect, to let go completely. A researcher named Dennis Klass spent years with bereaved parents, and he realized either every one of them was sick or the definition of healthy grief was wrong. The parents were healthy, the definition was wrong. The Buddha never said forget the dead. And the trajectory everyone assumes is normal. The slow breakdown followed by gradual recovery. Fewer than 1 in 10 people actually experience it. The most common response to loss, by a wide margin, is resilience, not the absence of pain. Pain without being destroyed by it. One arrow. What the Buddha actually did. When Sāriputta died, the Buddha's closest disciple, the one he called the right hand of the teaching, a monk named Ananda, came to the Buddha carrying Sāriputta's bowl and robe, and Ananda said something raw. It was as if my body were drugged. I lost my bearings. Things weren't clear to me. SN 47.13. The Buddha did not rebuke him, did not say a monk shouldn't grieve, did not quote doctrine. He asked gently, when Sāriputta died, did he take virtue with him? No. Concentration? No. Discernment? No. The good work of the world is still there to be done. And then, in a companion text, the Buddha said something rarely quoted. This assembly appears empty to me, now that Sāriputta and Moggallana have passed away. SN 47.14. Even the Buddha acknowledge the emptiness that someone's absence leaves behind. In another discourse, when the Buddha said that grief is born from those who are dear, AMN 87, a householder flatly disagreed. Who would think grief comes from love? Happiness comes from love. Gamblers in the marketplace sided with the householder, not the Buddha. Even a king rejected the teaching at first. The Buddha didn't demand agreement. The teaching is counterintuitive. Disagreement is normal, but the most practical guidance came when King Pasenadi received word that Queen Malika had died. The text describes him sitting there, miserable, shoulders drooping, face down, at a loss for words. A8 5.49. The Buddha didn't offer philosophy. He said, engage in funeral customs as long as they seem to serve a purpose. And when they no longer do, ask yourself, what important work am I doing now? Not move on, not let go. Just, when you're ready, what work is still yours to do? As the monk and scholar Thanissaro Bhikkhu wrote, the Buddha never advocated that his listeners try to smother their grief with feigned indifference. And he's not forcing you to give up your grief. That would be heartless. The island after Sāriputta's death, the Buddha told the monks, be your own island, be your own refuge, with nothing else as your refuge. SN 47.13. That instruction, Atadba, is often read as a teaching about independence, but in the context of grief, it says something more specific. You don't need someone to tell you how to grieve. The wisdom is already inside the experience, if you stop long enough to let it surface. And here, this part is for you, if you need it. Men who lose their partner often face something that research can only call staggering. Not just the grief itself, but the fact that the one person they would have talked to about it is the one person who's gone. Older men especially build their emotional world around one relationship. When that relationship ends, not by choice but by death, the silence that follows is unlike anything else. And the world tells you to talk about it, to open up, to process it in words. But Kisā Gotamī didn't process her grief in words. She walked. The Buddha told a grieving king to return to his work. Ananda was praised for his years of devoted service. Action, not talk. You don't have to cry on camera to grieve correctly. You don't have to narrate your pain to process it. Action-oriented grief, building, fixing, walking, working, is Buddhist grief. It has been for 2,500 years. Letting go in grief doesn't mean letting go of the person. It means letting go of the second arrow. The story that says you should be over this by now. And there's a moment, not on any timeline, not in any stage, when personal grief opens into something larger. The recognition that this isn't just your loss. It's the nature of everything. The tradition calls that recognition samvega. And samvega, the texts say, is where the path begins. What she found. Kisā Gotamī never found a house without death, but she found something else. The understanding that she was not alone in this, that every door she knocked on held the same truth, and that understanding didn't take her grief away. It made her grief bearable, then it made her wise, then it made her free. The verses attributed to her centuries later are steady and clear. I've extracted the arrow, put down the burden, done the task, thick 10.1. The Buddha never told you to move on. He told you to feel the first arrow fully, to stop shooting yourself with the second, to be your own island, and to ask, when you're ready, only when you're ready, what important work is still yours to do. And when understanding like hers reaches its deepest point, when you see impermanence not as loss but as the nature of everything, something shifts. The tradition has a word for that shift: